Hello online viewers, welcome to our lecture video. In this lecture video, we are going to talk about the several factors deciding contour interval. So what can be the several factors deciding contour interval? So we are going to talk about those. But before talking about the factors deciding contour interval, firstly we are going to talk about contour interval. What is contour interval? So our contour interval. So what is our contour interval? So our contour interval is nothing more than it is simply our particle distance. Simply our particle distance between any two consecutive contours. Particle distance between any two consecutive particle distance between any two consecutive contours. And one of the special characteristics of our contour interval is our, let's say we can have our contour interval of 1 meter, 2 meter, 3 meter, etc. But whatever we may choose, let's say if we choose our contour interval of 1 meter, it is going to be our constant throughout our contour map. So our contour interval is going to be constant or same throughout our contour map. Contour interval is kept constant for our whole contour map. If we are going to use a contour interval of 1 meter, we will be using the same contour interval, or if we are going to use our contour interval of 2 meter, we are going to use our same contour interval, but we are going to keep it constant throughout our contour map. So let me briefly describe about contour interval. So let's say I have a certain slope over here. And let's say the base of the slope is at 100 meter and the top of the slope is at 105 meter. So now if I have to draw our contour line, let's say if I choose my contour interval of 1 meter, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up a distance of 1 meter, a vertical distance of 1 meter, again a distance of 1 meter. I have reached 101, 102, 103, 104. 104 and my top is at 105, and at a distance of 1 meter, this is going to be a distance of vertical distance of 1 meter, and at each vertical distance of 1 meter I'm going to draw my contour line. So this is what my contour interval refers to. Contour interval simply refers to my vertical distance between any two consecutive contours. So let me draw my contour map. So in order to draw my contour map, what I'm going to do next is, so from this 100 meter mark I'm going to draw my vertical projection. This way. So this is going to be my contour of, so going to be my first contour of 100 meter, and next I am going to draw my contour of 101 meter, 101 in this way, 100, 102, 103, 104 and 105. So in this way 105 is going to be over here. So I have drawn it roughly, so you got the concept. So this is my 100 meter, 101, 102. This particle distance between my two consecutive contour of 1 meter. This particle distance between my two consecutive contour of 1 meter. This particle distance is going to be my contour interval. So right now I have chosen my contour interval of 1 meter. Why haven't I chosen 2 meter, or why can't I choose 3 meter? There are certain factors which decide the contour interval which I am going to choose, and there are basically 4 factors. First one is the scale of the map. Next one is purpose of the survey, and extent. Purpose of the survey and extent of survey. And in third we have our nature of the ground. And in fourth number we have our availability of time and font. Availability of time and font, which is an important factor deciding our contour interval. Availability of time and font. So we're going to talk about all these factors one by one. So right now, before talking about all these factors, you need to clearly know about what is contour and what are the characteristics of contour. So if you don't know exactly what is contour and what are the characteristics of contour, I have already created a video about it, whose link you can find in the description box below. So right now, first we will be talking about our scale of the map. First we will talk about how our scale of the map is going to affect our contour interval. So now my first factors affecting my contour interval is going to be my scale of the map. Scale of the map. So let's say I'm going to choose, to explain this, I'm going to choose 2 scales. First I'm going to choose 1:100, and second I'm going to choose the scale of 1:1000. So what does this mean? This means for my scale of 1:100, 1 meter on paper is going to be 100 meter. 1 meter on paper is going to be my 100 meter on ground. Similarly for a 1:1000, what does this refer to is 1 meter on paper is going to be 1000 meter on ground. So what does this mean? So let's see if I draw a line of let's say this is a line of 1 meter. 1 meter. So for my scale of 1:100, this line is going to represent 1000 meter on the real ground. 1000 meter on the real ground. Whereas for my scale of 1:1000, this scale of 1 meter is going to represent and represent a length of 1000 meter on my 1000 meter on my ground. So how does this scale affect my contour interval? So let me add one more point. So the scale of 1:100 is my smaller scale. So let me add one more point. My scale of 1:1000, this is going to be my smaller scale. This is going to be my smaller scale because it has a 1/1000 in denominator, while this is going to be my larger scale. This is going to be my larger scale, and it's going to be my smaller scale. Smaller scale represents our more area, or represents our more length, or covers our more area, while it is inversely proportional for our large scale. Our larger scale is going to be covering less area or less length. So if I had to, let's say if I had to draw an area, smaller area on my paper, I'm going to use my larger scale. But for my larger area where I have to cover let's say large hills or area, in that case I'm going to use my smaller scale. So it is inversely proportional. So how is my contour interval related with this scale of map? So my contour interval CI is inversely proportional to my scale of the map. Contour interval is inversely proportional to the scale of the map. So why is my contour interval inversely proportional to the scale of the map? So let me explain that. So let's say I have a certain area over here. Let's say I have certain area over here, and let's say I have other area over here, and let's say this is drawn in my scale of 1:100, and this is drawn in my scale of 1:1000. So what does this refer to? So as I explained before, my larger scale, this is my larger scale, while this is my smaller scale. So my larger scale is definitely going to cover less area, while my larger scale is definitely going to cover more area. It's going to cover more area. Since it covers more area, I need to use my larger contour interval. While since this covers less area, I'm going to use my less area, so I'm going to use small contour interval. This is my larger scale, this is my smaller scale. Smaller scale covers more area, so I'm going to use my larger contour interval or more contour interval, while my larger scale, it covers smaller scale, less area. So in this case I'm going to use my small contour interval. So why is this? So for my 1:100, so let's say this is an area of 1 meter on paper, while this is an area of 1 meter on paper. So on my real ground, this is going to be 1000 meters, while this is going to be just 100 meters. So in this case, so let's say if I use my contour interval of 1 meter, I am going to have my 1000 contour lines. While in this case, if I choose my contour interval of 1 meter for my larger scale, I am going to have 100 contour lines. So as you can see here, I am going to have not 100 but 1000 contour lines over here. 1000 contour lines, and in this case I am going to have my 100 contours line. So as you can see, if I have 1000 contours line, there are going to be 1000 of these lines. So our map is going to be just going to be filled with contour lines. There are going to be too much of contour lines, and it is going to be difficult to read the map. But while in this case, if I have just 100, it will be appropriate to describe my figure. So in this case, to make the to make my map more readable, I am going to use instead of contour interval of 1 meter, let's say if I use a larger contour interval, let's say 100 meter, I am going to have just 10 contour lines, which might be sufficient. So to explain this a little bit better, so let me draw an area over here. Let me draw two areas. This will be more useful later as well. So let's say this is 100 meter and the elevation is at of 500 meter, and let's say in this case the elevation is as of 10 meter and it's at 15 meter. And if I had to plot this on my, and if I had to show this on my paper, what I'm going to do is, in this case I'm going to use my larger scale because it has smaller area, as I explained before. Larger scale for smaller area, while as you can see here, this has a difference of 500 meters. So in this case I'm going to use smaller scale. smaller scale because smaller scale because this has larger area. So let's say in this case, for my larger scale, as I said, contour interval is inversely proportional to the scale of the map. So in this case there is larger scale, so I need to use small contour interval, which means so what does this means? Larger the scale of the map, larger the scale of the map, small contour interval. Larger the scale of the map, smaller the contour interval. But in this case right now I have my larger scale, so let's see if I took larger contour interval, so which is 100 to 15 meter, there is a difference of 5 meter. But let's say if I choose my contour interval of 2 meters, I am going to have one, which is one contour line at 100 at 12 meter, second at 14 meter. So I'm going to have just two contour lines, and I'm going to get my contour in this way. So this is going to be my this contour, and this is going to be my this contour. I'm going to just have two contour line. But let's say in this case if I choose larger scale of 5 meters, larger contour interval of 5 meter, I'm going to have just one contour line. With one contour line I'm going to get no any idea of this contour map. This is going to be useless. So therefore for our larger scale which covers small area, we are going to use more contour line in order to get more idea of our nature of the ground, or in order to get more knowledge of our terrain, since our larger scale covers smaller area. So you can get the concept over here. Simply over here this concept is going to be used for our other factors affecting our contour interval as well. So in this case where we have smaller scale to cover this area, and in this case we have smaller scale means more area. So let's say in this case if I choose a smaller contour interval as if of 1 meter. So right now I have to go up. So in this case I have to go up of 400 meter distance. So if I choose a distance contour interval of 1 meter, I am going to have 400 contour lines. So with 400 contour lines, my whole map is going to be covered with just contour lines. Contour lines. So in this case I have to choose my larger contour interval. So let's say if I choose a contour interval of 100 meter, I am going to have 5 contour lines. And similarly if I let's say if I choose my contour interval of 50 meter for 400 meter 50 meter contour interval, for my 400 meter distance I am going to get 8 contour lines. I'm going to get 8 contour lines. Similarly if I choose a contour interval of 10 meter, I am going to get 40 contour lines, which is going to be more better than choosing contour interval of 1 meter, which is going to be more better than choosing 8 meter. And let's say for this so in this way our scale of the map is inversely proportional to our contour interval, and our and because of this reason why our contour interval and our scale of the map are inversely proportional to each other. So now we'll be talking about next factor affecting our contour interval. So our next factor affecting our contour interval is our propose of the map and extent of the survey. Propose of the map and extent of the survey. So our extent means our area of the survey. And propose means our reason, what is our objective behind the map. So let me explain by two ways. Our purpose of the map can be two ways. It can be to construct a highway on a hill slope, and next it will be regarding construction of any building. So if we were to construct a highway on a hill slope, in this case we are going to covering a large area. So let's say if we were to construct a highway in this manner, we are going to cover is at elevation of 100 meter. This might be at elevation of 500 meter. So in this case what we are going to do is we are going to use our larger contour interval, because right now we do not need any detailed work. We don't need contour lines at a interval of each and every of 1 meter. We can use our contour interval of, let's say, 10 meter, 20 meter, or 50 meters. So just to get a basic idea of our nature of the terrain, and to complete our filling and digging works for a highway. So for such areas, for such purposes, we are going to use our larger contour interval. Similarly, if we were to construct any building, so we have a certain area. While we are constructing a building, we are going to have small area. It's going to be like 10 meter. This might be just about 50 meter. So in this case we need our complete idea of our area, a complete idea of our area. So in this case we need a more detailed work. So right now we need more detailed work, more detailed work. So in this case we're going to be using smaller contour interval, smaller contour interval. So to simply sum up this purpose of the map, it simply means why we are going to use the map, why we are going to use our map. So let's see, if we were to use our map for detailed work, so that's for construction of our building on schools, hospitals. In such case we are going to be using our small contour interval, because in that case we'll need more detailed work. Whereas if we are constructing, let's say, a highway on a hill slope, in that case we can use larger contour interval, because in that case we don't need such a detailed and precise map. Next is our extent of the survey. Extent simply means area of the survey, area of the survey. So I've already explained this before. So where our extent of the survey is large, where extent of the survey is large, which means extent of the survey is large, which means we are covering a huge area. In such cases where we are going to be using our contour interval is also going to be our large. But in small areas where our extent of the survey is small, in that case we are going to be using lesser or smaller contour interval. So let me give an example. So let's say if I have, for our example, I have drawn two area. This area runs from covers the vertical height from 10 meter to 20 meter, while this larger area covers from 10 meter to 1000 meter. So as I have already explained before, in this case, if I choose a small contour interval of 1 meter, I'm going to have too many contour lines. Contour lines, and my whole map is going to look congested, and two contour lines might intersect as well. And in such case I'm not going to get proper idea of my terrain by using small contour interval. But let's say but for my larger area, which means my extent of survey is large, if I use larger contour interval, let's say for this area, if I use a contour interval of 100 meters, I'm going to get my proper idea of the terrain, and there are not going to be too many contour lines as well. But in this case, which covers an area of 100 meter, 10 meter to 20 meter, I cannot use my contour interval of 100 meter at all, because I cannot use my contour interval of 100 meter because there is no vertical difference of 100 meter at all. And if I use let's say smaller contour interval of 1 meter or 2 meter, I'm going to get my exact idea of my contour. Next we are going to talk about our third factor affecting our contour interval. Now our third factor deciding our contour interval is our nature of the ground. And our contour interval is generally depends on our contour interval. It generally depends on our general terrain of our ground. It depends on the general terrain of the ground. And let's see, if we have our flat area. So for our flat area, for our gentle slope, we are going to use our smaller or less contour interval. But for our steep slope, which will generally cover more area, in that case we are going to use our more contour interval. So let me explain this with an example. So right now I have a steep slope, and next I have a gentle slope. In this case, so let's say this is 100 meter, then the top might be 110 meter. And for this is going to be my steep slope, and this is going to be my gentle slope. So in this case, if this is 100 meter, the top might be 102 meter. So in this case, what you can see is, in order to get my proper idea of my terrain, I'm going to use a larger contour interval. So if you choose contour interval of 2 meters, 102 meters, 104 meters, similarly 108 and 110, so you get the basic idea. But in this case, if I choose contour interval of 2 meters, in this case I'm going to get just no any contour lines, because there is just a total elevation difference of 2 meters. So in this case, if I instead choose contour interval of 0.5 meter, 100.5, 101, 101.5, 102, I'm going to get many more contour lines, and I'm going to get better idea of my terrain. So in this case, steep slope, for the steep slope where my there is steepness in the ground, in that case I'm going to use I'm going to use more contour interval. While in this case, where there is gentle slope where there is less slope difference, in that case I'm going to use less contour interval as well. I think our contour interval is our ability of time and font, availability of time and font, ability of time and font. So let's see if we have more time available, in that case we are going to use smaller contour interval. When there is more time available, in that case we are going to use smaller contour interval. While in the case there is less time available, in that case we are going to use larger contour interval. So why is that? Let's see if we have to cover an area of 100 meter, and if we choose an contour interval of 1 meter, we have to draw contour lines. We are going to get 100 contour lines, 100 or 99 contour lines, or where we might get 100, or about we'll get 99 contour lines. So in order to draw 99 contour lines, we are going to take a lot of time in our field work. It is going to take a lot of time in our field work. Similarly, it is going to take a lot of time in our plotting of the map as well, lot of time in plotting the map as well, as well as in field work. So which means more contour interval simply means more time. So when we have more time, we are going to use small contour interval. But if we have less time, when we need to complete our work quickly, we are going to use our larger contour interval. So in this case, if we choose, let's say, contour interval of 10 meter, we are going to get less, we are going to get smaller, we are going to get let's say about 10 or 12 contour intervals only, So this will be more faster in our field, as well as in our plotting the map as well. So when we have less time, we are going to use larger contour interval. But if we have more time, we can use a smaller contour interval. To get our precise idea of our field as well. Next is font. So you know how to font, which means our money available for our project or for our field work. So what is so we can directly relate our time and money are directly proportional, which means if we spend larger time on the ground, we are going to need to spend more money for our field work. More time means more money, less time means less money. So if we have less amount of fund available, in that case we are going to use larger contour interval. So if we have less font, in that case we are going to use a larger contour interval to complete our work faster and cheaper. But if we have more font or more money, in that case we can use a small contour interval, spending more time in our field as well as in our map work to get our precise knowledge of our work, or our precise knowledge of our terrain. So in this case, these four factors combinedly affect our contour interval. And if you have any queries, you can comment down below. If you like our video, do subscribe to the channel and like our video. Thank you.